Hey there, it's Eileen Gilbo with The Real Las Vegas at Urban Nest Realty, and I am here today with Rebecca Sherer from Cultivate Academics. And Rebecca, can you give me a little kind of rundown on what Cultivate Academics is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cultivate Academics is kind of an educational consulting firm. We're located here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in Summerlin, although we do service students and families from all over the nation. So what that entails is really supporting students, understanding student values, family values when it comes to education, and really supporting them, guiding them, and advising them through the high school experience, whether that means choosing a particular high school, boarding school, what to get involved in high school that kind of aligns with their values and what they're looking to get out of the high school experience. And then certainly probably the bulk of our work goes to moving students through the college admissions process and into what is most often selective colleges and universities outside of the state of Nevada. So because college admissions is nuanced, it changes every year, it becomes a larger undertaking every single year. We keep on top of trends and what's happening in college admissions so we can support students and families in making the best decisions for them academically and as learners.
Yeah. Well, can you give me a brief kind of rundown also on what your background is? Because I know this is something that you're super passionate about and that you actually have the background to back up what you're doing. So can you share with me a little bit about what that background is?
Absolutely. So I have a degree in English education, and after that I taught high school, mostly 9 through 12, and in those upperclassmen years for about 7 years, from Florida, Arizona, and Nevada. And once I moved to Nevada, I saw a really interesting niche in especially Las Vegas, because Las Vegas is an entertainment town. We have a lot of service industry, and so to be successful and to live a great life in Las Vegas doesn't always entail a college education. And so what I found was a lot of families who now have children who are looking for a college education, potentially outside of the state of Nevada, but who hadn't previously gone through the college admissions process. So knowing where I could fit in and my passion for informing students, educating students, and guiding and advising families, really my passion for that went really well with college admissions consulting. So I have tutored the SAT and ACT previously, and I also have a certification. I'm a certified college admissions counselor through UCLA. So I'm backed by the National Association of College Admissions Counselors, we call the NACAC, as well as the Western Association of College Admissions Counseling. So I'm certified. We follow the ethics and principles of those two professional organizations, and we've had great success in serving the families of Las Vegas and the greater United States through what we offer. I mean, I think in college admissions counseling circles, we hear a lot about students finding the right fit for the college experience that they want. And that's a great term, right? We always want to put students at the center of their lives, right? Their academic lives, their anything else that they choose to do. We take that seriously. And so what we do is considered a student-centered approach. And my business partner and greatest friend on the planet, Janine Collins, she has quite a few certifications and background in everything from life coaching to critical friends group, design thinking, all of these sort of ways of understanding people and their motivations and values and character, so that they know themselves well enough to make really sound decisions. So when we get a new student or family into Cultivate Academics, we always start with what's called an appreciative interview. And so what that does is probing questions that we have a conversation about the family's values about education. We dig into what the parents really enjoyed about their high school or college education, what they are hoping for their children, and then asking the student the same thing. And so we believe that what you appreciate and what you enjoy, you should get more of. So understanding what the student appreciates first, and moving through the college admissions process through there and finding actually the best fit. That goes beyond, intended major. If it goes beyond intended, or the geography that you like, or the size of the college. It really goes to the students' most inner held values, morals, ethics, and the impact that they want to make on the world. So every college and university in our nation, and certainly around the world, has a mission statement, things that they value as well. So finding the fit really goes into that. And those surface things, kind of like major and geography and things like that, they sort of melt away when we understand really who the student is.
Yeah. Well, so my next question is, we are interviewing this during the COVID-19 pandemic, and every industry has been affected. So, I know I have a 11th grader going into her senior year of high school. I know that, I've heard that a lot of the testing procedures are going to change for the ACT, for the SAT. Because you're so entrenched in this, what changes or, pivoting are you seeing during this time?
So, there's a lot of pivoting and changing and evolving, right? Anytime that there's something major like this, and this obviously is probably the biggest shift in higher education that we have ever seen. So it is interesting. So I'll address some of the issues that you brought up. Testing, I think, for one, is something that is on everyone's mind, right? So students understand from quite a young age that they're going to have to take the ACT or the ACT or SAT as a college admissions procedure. So what's interesting is that we've seen a trend over the last 10 years or so with colleges and universities dropping the necessity for the SAT or ACT, these standardized tests. That really has come from colleges and universities understanding that sometimes these tests are biased, certainly when it comes to a student's background, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, things like that. So we have seen colleges like the University of Denver, Wake Forest, University of Chicago, quite some selective universities dropping the necessity for the SAT or the ACT. We always still remind students that, an application is kind of like a large pie, right? And so if it's missing some pieces, the college admissions office, the admissions officers kind of have to fill that in, right, with extra essays or calling the counselor or something like that. So regardless of whether or not a college or university is now test optional, or they've been test optional previously, we always encourage students to still take the SAT or ACT, given that every student that we have at least will apply to multiple colleges, some colleges that are considered reach schools that we call open-minded, certain colleges and universities that are considered target schools, okay, so intentionally located, and some schools that are safety schools, which we also call confident schools. There will be some schools that maybe, you wouldn't want to submit a test score to. Maybe that score is a little bit lower than the college admissions kind of middle 50% that they're normally looking for. But there should be a bunch of colleges that you would be willing to submit your SAT or ACT score to, that you fall within that middle 50% of what they typically accept. So what we're finding is that our strategy is the same, right? So the UC system, the biggest college system in the United States, has now dropped the necessity for the SAT or ACT for this year, and discussions are going on about whether or not that will be something permanent. But we know from every year in the past, the middle 50% of what that school, whether it's UCLA or University of California, Berkeley, we know what they are typically looking for. So if I've got a student who really wants to apply to UCLA and they took the ACT last year and they got a 33, I'm going to say, take that score and send it in. It's not necessary, right? But just because something isn't required doesn't mean that it isn't, can't be a benefit to you. So our strategy with that, I know that that's kind of a long context, but as many colleges and universities are dropping it for reasons, you know, because maybe a student couldn't get to an SAT or ACT, or maybe their parent lost a job and they can't afford to take it now, or can't, for some disability reason, you know, take it online or what have you. They're dropping that. Just because it's not required doesn't mean that if you had one and it could benefit you, that you would still want to submit that. So our strategy has not changed. It will be interesting to see how many students end up applying to colleges that maybe they wouldn't have previously, given that the SAT or ACT has been dropped. But we suspect that colleges will be continually more scrupulous in identifying students who are able to kind of cut it at their colleges and universities. You know, we always remind students that when a college or university is selective, it's because it's quite difficult, right? And so they want the students to apply and to be accepted there, the ones that are going to stay all 4 years and maybe even come back for a PhD or a master's program or something like that. So you want to be prepared for the collegiate environment that you're applying to.
Yeah, well, that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So who is your ideal client?
So Cultivate Academics, obviously, you know, given that we love all students and we are committed to helping students go through the college admissions process, but also to grow through it. That's our tagline, growing through the college admissions process. Our ideal student is a student and a family that are looking to grow through this process. Who are not just, I just want to tick off and apply to college and be done with it, but students who really look at choosing a college through a lens of authenticity, through a lens of, you know, a moment to know oneself, and really a thoughtful and mindful perspective in going through one of the largest decisions, if not the largest decision that they'll make in their short 18-year life at this particular point. So that really is our ideal student. And I know that, you know, most of our students in the last few years have been students looking to apply to colleges outside of the state of Nevada. And you did mention earlier, yes, I do have to know about all of the different colleges and universities and what their acceptance rates are and you know, what their requirements are across the nation. We work with students, just to name a few. The University of Michigan behind me. We've got a lot of students from Michigan, Florida, California that we've worked with. So any student across the nation, we would look to help. So students who are looking mainly from an academic standpoint, although we do have student athletes in our practice that we've helped through the years, but most of our students are looking at selective colleges and universities and are academically focused.
Yeah. And then are you seeing a change? Like, are you doing a lot more virtually right now?
Absolutely. So, I mean, the great benefit of doing what we do is, you know, it's guidance, it's counseling, it's advice, it's information giving, right? It's data driven. So anything that we can do in the office, we can do virtually. We work a lot with the Google Drive and, you know, sharing documents and all of that sort of stuff. So we have been full speed ahead. We've actually just launched an ACT prep experience that is virtual. That launched on Saturday. Actually, I'm going to be meeting with our group, our small group online later today. So nothing has really changed except, you know, using Zoom a lot more. And we're happy to do that. And, you know, in our practice, because like I mentioned, we do have students from all over the United States, this is nothing new for us to meet virtually with students. You know, we're in Summerlin. For those of your audience that are from Las Vegas, you understand Summerlin and Henderson are about 30 minutes apart. We've got students in Henderson who will say, hey, can we Skype in our meeting today? You know, so we really just kind of embraced it and said, you know, if this is the new normal, we can adapt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so as we discussed, the SAT and ACT, while largely not necessary for this next year, still, we discussed that it's still a part of the application process and can really benefit a student when and if they do send in a score. So what we have found, and I've been in college admissions and standardized testing prep for over a decade now, I've seen two ways that students are studying. If they're going to pay for any sort of standardized test prep, there is large group standardized test prepping, right? So you pay a company, you go to kind of a classroom, they can be between 10 and, I've heard up to 50 or 100 students sometimes, and this is a trend in our valley too, because now the state of Nevada requires every high school junior to take the ACT.
Right.
So that's something, kind of group prepping. And then again, if you're going to pay for prep, there's one-on-one prep. So that can range from $50 to $200+ an hour. So what we know about learners, and this I think is, not to brag at all, but Janine and I are educators. We both have education degrees. And what we know about learners is that every learner needs a differentiated approach. We don't learn the same way, sometimes in the same sitting, right? Sometimes with the same sort of content. So we created an ACT prep that blends both of those styles together. So it really is a blended learning approach. We keep our ACT camps to 8 students or less, and we do some group learning where they learn the strategies, they learn the curriculum of the ACT together in that group, but built into the prep experience is 6 hours of one-on-one tutoring from private tutors that specialize in the science, English, math, and reading sections of the ACT. So in our tutoring staff right now, we've got people with English degrees. We've got people working on PhDs in math. We've got a PhD in English and math education. We've got another gentleman who's worked in English education for 30 years. So the fact that they can have kind of the group approach, we do proctored ACTs so they know, where they're kind of starting out and where they're building, and then they can choose the tutor that they want to work with to work on the skills that they want to strengthen. That really what we've seen is a really sought after approach, and it really builds on what students themselves need and not just what a company is going to provide them. So again, Cultivate just putting students at the center of every experience, and we're super excited to be offering this to students. And because it is right now online, it's available to students across the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I know that is such a stressful time. My daughter just went through it, and I mean, it is super stressful. So having those strategies and techniques that you can use and going in confident rather than totally stressed out, is a huge plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we'll definitely put the link in for people to be able to sign up. So, and then it's not just a one-time thing that you're offering, you're going to be offering this from now on, right?
Yeah, the 4 weeks prior to every ACT, we'll be rolling one out. And so, the name of the game is sign up early so that you can be part of that small group and get that one-on-one attention that you really need.
Right, because there are only 8 students.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
so you want to sign up as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll link it below, and I think that sounds like an awesome approach.
What maybe I would say to students and families thinking about college and college admissions that they might not already know is that, college admissions, especially in the moment that we're facing right now, has trended towards a holistic approach. I talked about FIT earlier. Holistic admissions is a term that I think we hear a lot. And so what that means is looking at the student as a whole. Every student is an individual, right? They are not just a test score. They are not just a GPA. They are not just the classes that they took. They are the human being who takes care of their grandmother on the weekends. They're the human being who started, a nonprofit, who, volunteers, or who's gone to a different country, and traveled the world. They are these, multifaceted, multidimensional, nuanced human beings. And colleges and universities are more and more interested in that. And
Right.
so I think that when we think about applying to college, the first thing that comes up obviously is academics. I want to highlight, how well I've done in high school, but really keeping in mind that, there's kind of a little tagline that I use with students. If you were going to ask someone to come live with you for the next 4 years, what would you want to know about them? So looking at the college application in the same way, you are essentially asking to go live at that person's house for the next 4 years. You probably want to tell them more about yourself than just what you've done in the classroom. So whether or not students, end up working with us or families work with us or not, we really love and we're passionate about getting that information out, really shifting the perspective of students applying to college to match and align with what college admissions offices have trended towards in the past few years. And that really is it. Academics reign supreme. We go to college to get an education, but we also go to college to become more of who we are and become that next version of ourselves that we're hoping to be. So colleges are just as concerned about that learning as they are academic learning.
Well, and that's honestly a great point to end our conversation on. I am going to link all of Cultivate Academics information. And like she said, her partner, Janine Collins, she couldn't be with us today, but she is an integral part of this team here, and they are fabulous together. So if you want more information, you can reach out to them via their website or their phone number. They are located here in Las Vegas. So I look forward to seeing a bunch more of the people that I know that are taking advantage of your services. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for meeting with me today, and I will see you all soon.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Eileen.